Hey ladies, it's your host Kimberly, or your favorite auntie, whatever you want to say or whatever you want to call me. I also don't want to be cringier, so let's just get to the point. Welcome to the first episode of A Chat with My Girls. I'm super excited to share this space with you first and foremost. I want to first thank you for joining this conversation. I want to thank you for trusting me with your thoughts and your feelings. I want to just thank you for just showing up. I know that sometimes um, things like this can feel kind of awkward having these conversations, especially with an adult. But I can guarantee you one thing: whatever you're going through, 9 times out of 10, I've probably been there and done that already. Um, I know I'm quote unquote old now. I know you guys look at 30-year olds and anything 30 and up, you're like, what the heck, as old, but I'm not that old. Um, I've been there. I've done that. And I bought the t shirt probably more times than I want to. And so I'm super excited for the opportunity to just talk to you guys about just stuff. And it's going to get pretty wild, but in a good way. Meaning that I understand as teenagers, especially teenage girls, we sometimes find ourselves in situations where we want to talk to somebody, but we don't know who we can trust. We don't know how to start those conversations. We don't know if when we do find someone to talk to, if they're going to judge us about certain things. So a lot of times we just hold all of our feelings and emotions and things that we go through, we kind of hold them inside. And I don't want you to have to do that. I want you to be able to know that there's someone there that hears you, that values your voice, but also someone that can kind of help you navigate this life. Um, when I was a teenager, I have I have and had, I should say, the most amazing mom, right? But there were times that I just simply felt like I couldn't talk to my mom about certain things. Like the thought of talking to my mom about sex was like a joke. Like there was no way on heck I was going to do that. And so because I didn't talk to her about those things, I ended up learning about it on my own, unfortunately, and got pregnant with my first baby at the age of 19. And I was so terrified to tell my mom about it, not because I thought I was going to get in trouble or anything like that. I mean, at the end of the day, I was technically an adult in my third year of college, but I was so afraid to tell her because we just hadn't had conversations like that, and I knew that in my mind I knew that my mom still saw me as her little girl. And so I ended up writing her a letter telling her that I was pregnant because I was just so terrified of what she would think about me if I just had the conversation. And so my hope, yeah, we just went there and we went there fast. Um, but my hope is that you don't have to do that, right? You don't have to one be a teen mom. Um, I'm hoping that I can help you in these situations before you get into it. And I'm hoping that I can help you build the confidence and build your voice to be able to have real and raw and tough conversations with people around you that love you, that you can trust. So then that way you don't feel like your voice isn't heard or I don't know how to have these conversations, right? You may not want to talk to your grandma about sex, I get it. But at least you can have serious conversations with the people that matter most to you, right? So my goal is to have those conversations with you guys, offer some wisdom, some insight from everything up from boys to, relationships, um, God, pregnancies and sex and drama and friendships and your dreams and aspiration, college, your finances, don't get a credit card, like all the things that I wish I knew as a 13, 14, 18, 19-year old girl that I simply just had to kind of learn on my own. Um, I don't want that for you. I want you to know what a credit card is and how it affects your credit or what is credit. I want you to know that yeah, all boys aren't trash, but in this time of your life, you're probably going to meet some pretty interesting, and I don't mean that in a good way, boys, because they're still learning, they're still growing, they're still trying to navigate puberty and everything else that's happening in their life. And we expect them to be fully ready to be in relationships at 14 years old. That's just not real, right? And so I'm hoping that we can have these real and raw conversations, and I can offer some advice and some wisdom and guidance to you guys to help you navigate this space. So I know this is the first episode, so we won't get too much into it. I do want to share a little bit about me, so then that way you can know, like, well, who the heck is this girl that I'm talking to, right? Um, I've said it before. My name is Kimberly. Many people call me Kim. That's totally fine too. I am a mom of four beautiful kids. They're crazy, but they're mine. I am currently, that sounds so weird. Duh. I'm 35 years old. I was married before for almost 10 years. Unfortunately, that marriage ended in divorce. I was born and raised in East St. Louis, Illinois. Not that that matters to you, but you can Google it. And I moved to California and lived there for most of my life. And then I decided to make a change, moved here to St. Louis about 2 years ago now, and just kind of restarted my life. And I think that that part is important because there were so many decisions that I made as a teenager that ultimately brought me to this state that I was right now. When I think about me as a teen and me even as a young adult, I struggle a lot with my identity. And what that means is like, who who was I? Who did who did I, when I looked in the mirror, who did I see? What did I see? Do I know who God created me to be and why he decided to put me on the earth? And the truth of the matter is I didn't know that. I mean, what teenager does know that? And so because I didn't know that, I spent a lot of my life trying to conform and become what I thought people wanted me to be because it just felt easier. I spent most of my life, and I say most of it because I just started to not do this, and I'm hoping that you will stop at an earlier age if you do this. But I did a lot of becoming a chameleon, which means that depending on where I was and who I was with, I kind of acted like that person or those group of people to fit in. I wanted everybody to like me. It was extremely important to me that everybody liked me, that everybody wanted to be my friend. And when that wasn't true and people didn't like me, I just did not understand why. I'm like, I didn't do anything to them. I was nice. And I remember one day my dad looked me dead in my eye because I came home crying from school. I think I was probably in elementary school still. Probably fifth or sixth grade actually. And I remember coming home crying, and my dad was like, "What is wrong with you?" My dad is very straight up. And I just was like, "This girl doesn't like me." And he was like, "Newsflash, everybody's not going to like you. Get over it." And that hurt my feelings so bad because I was thinking, well, why? Why don't they like me? Like, I haven't done anything wrong to them. I was nice. And the older I get, the more I started to understand that sometimes in life, you're just going to have people that simply don't like you because you're you. And you have to be okay with that. And you have to embrace the fact that if you don't like me just because I'm me, I would rather you not like me because I'm me than to fake and pretend to be somebody else. And then you like me, but you don't like the real version of me. And so I spent all of my life trying to conform to get people to like me. And because of that, I found myself in relationships, in friendships. And then later in life, I found myself in jobs and just all these things. I was doing stuff and just being a part of things because I just wanted people to like me. And it wasn't until a couple years ago where I said, it's exhausting. I don't want to do this anymore. I want people to like me for who I really am, not the person that I get up and put the mask on every day for. Like, I want people to know me. And I don't know if you've ever struggled with your identity and ever wonder, like, well, who am I? Like, why am I here? What was I placed on this earth to do and to be? And I don't know if you ever found yourself trying to fit into friendships or trying to make relationships work because you just wanted to make sure that someone liked you and someone seen you and someone felt like you were valuable enough. I just want to encourage you to not find not find your strength and not find your identity in people and the people around you or your friends or your sport or anything. But I want you to take a moment to really look inside and say, like, who what type of woman do I want to become? What type of woman do I want to be here on the earth? And then what do I need to do now to become her, to start becoming her? Because every day is an opportunity for you to do that. Every day is an opportunity for you to wake up and say, I choose me. I choose to be me. And the greatest part about choosing yourself is that, yes, people will fall off because some people won't like the real version of you. But then there'll be so many amazing people that will rally behind you because they finally see the real version of you and they connect with that version. So I want you to make the commitment today to just take some time out and say, who am I? Who do I want to become? And then I want you to start becoming her every day. And I know it sounds like a daunting task. You're like, Kim, I'm only 13 years old. Kim, I'm only 16. Like, what are you even talking about? I got time. It's never too early to start becoming the best version of yourself. The version that God had always had in mind when he created you. It's never too early to become that. So I know this episode was pretty short and sweet. My goal is to keep our episodes at about 15 minutes, anywhere between 10 and 15 minutes, because listen, I know y'all, and I know y'all attention span is not long, and I get it. I'm not trying to have y'all on this podcast listening to me for an hour anyway. So I'll try and keep them short and sweet, between 10 and 15 minutes. But I just wanted to, again, make the introduction of who I am. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys what qualifies me. And that's the great thing about this podcast. Like, it's literally just a conversation. So this is not scripted. It's just me talking to you. And as things come to my mind, I'm going to talk about it. I forgot to tell you what quote unquote kind of qualifies me to do this. So, I told you before, I got pregnant at the age of 19. And I remember looking into my baby girl's eyes when she was about a year old. And I realized that she's probably not going to listen to me when she gets older. When she becomes a teenager, I'm not going to be her source of influence. I'm not going to be her source of advice that she goes to first. She's going to go to her friends, her peers, and older women who aren't her mom. She's not going to come to me first, right? And so I said, I want to be able to create a space with women and girls that I know that she can trust. And so from that, My Girls was birthed. And My Girls was originally a mentor and leadership program, and it stands for My Gifted, Intelligent, Resilient Ladies of Society. That's the acronym for girls. And it started in 2010, right after I had my baby girl, because I looked around and I was just like, who's creating the space for women, for girls to grow, to become women of virtue, women of character, good character and good integrity. And I said, if it requires me to build it, I'm going to build it. And so I launched the My Girls Mentor and Leadership Program, and I partnered with school districts all over the state of California, where I offered mentoring services to girls, all type of girls, from at-risk girls to just your everyday girl who was at school. And I offered this mentoring program to about, I think the biggest amount of schools I was hosting at one time was, I think, 4 or 5, which is pretty crazy because I also had a full-time job. But I mentored these girls, and I was able to build and cultivate relationships from that situation, from building that program. And so I did the My Girls program, and I was speaking across the country at My Girls conferences, and I wrote a book called Act Like Girls, and it sold and did really good. And I did that from about 2010 to 2019, right before pandemic. And then I just dropped it. And I started building other things and doing other stuff and not really focusing on My Girls. Wasn't even a thought in my mind, if I could be completely honest with you, which I know I can. It wasn't even a thought in my mind. And it wasn't until one day recently, it was almost like I heard God audibly say to build his daughters. Just build his daughters. And then I was reminded about the My Girls program. And I said, well, I don't really have the time or the capacity to go and do each of these schools. But what if I started a podcast for them where we can have those real and raw conversations still, while also making sure that you got what you needed in a short and sweet time frame, and that it was able to be dispersed to any and everybody. So not just the girls that are at the school that I'm speaking at, but any girl across the country that has access to a podcast. And so that's how A Chat with My Girls was birthed. I started A Chat with My Girls before. It was years ago. It did very well. And then I just stopped. And so I'm in a space where I'm excited to just try again. To try again and see what you guys want, what you want to talk about, and things of that nature. So with that being said, I'm going to end here because now I'm getting ready to be over my limit. I just want to thank you again for listening to the first episode. I know it was a little jumpy and all over the place. I promise you that the other episodes will have a theme, a topic, and we will kind of run through those topics. But I did want to just get that first episode out to just give you a nice warm welcome and a virtual hug and say I am so excited to have you be a part of this circle, this community, and I can't wait to see all of the amazing things you do and all of the growth that you achieve while you're listening to this podcast. So I love you guys already, and I can't wait to join you with episode 2. See you soon. Or I guess you say, hear me soon. Bye, ladies.